We are back to the art of manifesting money, how to attract abundance, create consistent money flow, and achieve financial freedom. I'm Anna De La Rosa, your host today, and I want to welcome the amazing Mikelann Valterra. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is a pleasure and an honor. I always love listening to everything that you have to say, and I'm excited about today's topic. We are going to go through...
It's a good topic.
Yes, it's such a great topic. It gets me excited and fired up. I want to go manifest something. But today we're going to cover... we're going to start off with the keys to creating a consistent money flow. I want to hear all about it.
Love it. You want me to just jump in and kind of throw out some thoughts to start off here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so just in case your listeners don't know, I'm going to say a little bit about my background. So I am a money coach. And, you know, Anna, I know you know what money coaching is, but, I mean, honestly, it's a pretty new profession, you know, the last 20 years or so. And so a lot of people come to money coaches saying things like, I'm tired of being in a money fog. I'm tired of being stressed about money. I'm tired of being anxious about money. I'm tired of spending the way that doesn't make sense, and what am I doing? And I think I'm overspending, and I think I'm creating debt, and, you know, so on and so forth. A lot of stuff that I know that you are aware of and heard different people say to you also. And sometimes people say, and I'm not making enough money. I'm not making enough money. And that's where we get into this, like, law of attraction. And so, you know, I know that for me, where I came at this subject from was actually I wrote a book about 10 years ago called Why Women Earn Less, How to Make What You're Really Worth. And I wanted to look at what I called the psychological reasons of why women earn less money than men. Because, I mean, you and I know, Anna, that there's all sorts of stuff out there around. It's a hot topic, you know, gender discrimination and glass ceilings and oh my goodness. Yeah. So that was covered and has and continues to be covered, I think, in many wonderful ways. But what I wanted to look at is what's the part that we play in it? You know, why do we sometimes undersell ourselves and not earn the money that we truly deserve and truly want to make? And P.S., this absolutely applies to both men and women, you know. Why do some people undersell themselves? And what is under-earning? And that's when I started, you know, really thinking about so much of the stuff, including the law of attraction. But I just kind of want to throw in 2 quick points about under-earning.
Oh, yeah.
Is that okay if I make just a couple quick points?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So here's what I think is important for listeners, because I know a lot of your listeners are coming to these calls frustrated and wanting to earn more money. Under-earning is about a pattern, right? Because everybody goes through times when they don't make enough money. You know, it could be the economy or you got fired or who knows, right? And so that doesn't mean that you're an under-earner. But under-earning is about this pattern of consistently earning less money than is your potential. You know, if you consistently don't set your rates high enough, if you have a hard time asking for more money and raising your fees, if you haven't asked for a raise in years, if you never negotiated to begin with, you know, pattern. However, it's not about how hard you work. You know, you've probably seen this. There are people that work so hard and they're still not making enough money, and there's people that they are working really hard, they're not making enough money, and they're actually really accomplished,
right,
and they're not making enough money. And so it's like when you get into this whole conversation, sometimes people feel like they're the only ones. I must be an imposter. Everybody thinks I'm making more money than I actually am, and it's so frustrating. And so partly why I get excited about talking about this is I just want people to know this is normal. There's a lot of people that have struggled with this pattern of underselling themselves, and being able to talk about it, like in these calls, is one thing that begins to name it and heal it, because you can't shift subject, until you can really, really name, like, what on earth is this pattern? And then we can start using really powerful tools like the law of attraction and the things that I know we're going to keep talking about on this call. But if we don't name what the issue is in terms of a pattern of under-earning, it's hard to use some of these tools. So, I mean, what's your thinking on that? Does it make sense as I kind of like
oh my God.
play that out there?
It. Yes, I love it. And the reason why I do is because I've lived it.
Mm-hmm.
My whole profession, and me being an entrepreneur, and then before that in executive roles, I was always trying to prove myself, because it was always either I wasn't doing enough, even though I was. It was just this role because everybody in charge was of a male gender. And it just, I was, in that area in my life where everywhere I went, I was the only woman trying to get stuff done. And so now that I have got in there and figured out what those patterns are, that's what has been my key to overcoming, because I didn't know what it was.
Right.
And it's so good to get it out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and it is this pattern, isn't it? And I know that people wish that it was simpler than it was, because people come to me and say, oh, why do I not make enough money? And we so wish there was this one cosmic reason. And, unfortunately, there's many, right? It's complicated. There is sometimes a gender piece. There is sometimes a discrimination piece. There is sometimes this feeling of, do we truly deserve to make more money? And does that go all the way back to childhood? There is this skill piece. Do we have the skills to ask for what we're worth? Do we know how to raise our fees? And then there's, I think, a lot of times, a lot of unconscious stuff that says, I'm actually afraid to make more money, right? And that's not something that people talk about. That's
true. That's really true. And, with me personally, now that I have, gone in and looked at my whole area of financials and money, every single one of those pieces had to be dealt with before I could get to the next level.
Right. Yeah, it is, you want to build on such a strong foundation, and part of the foundation is really exploring your money story and your psychology around money and your fears around money. And I work sometimes with women that when they get in touch with things, they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm frustrated and stressed trying to figure out how to manage the money I have right now. And if I made a lot more money, would I even be more stressed? Would I even be more in a money fog? And again, it's not something that people talk about. We so often just have this almost knee-jerk reaction that says, of course I want to make more money. Of course I want to make more money. Make more money. But when they really get into all the reasons why they sometimes sabotage or why they start to make more money and then stop, you get into a lot of really interesting things. In fact, I'll be curious if you have heard this from the people that you've worked with and yourself. A lot of women have a fear that if they attracted a lot more money, that they would not have as much time, that they would have to work so hard to make the money that it's almost not worth it. And we don't necessarily want to talk about it, and yet this is a fear that drives many women. They say it's not worth it to make, six figures or 200,000 or 300,000 because then I would have no time for my family or friends.
Yep, I've heard it. I've heard it time and time again. And I went through it too. But I had to get to the point to where, I wanted to, get over the hump.
Right. Well, and incidentally, there's a great book written by Barbara Stanny called Secrets of Six-Figure Women. And she actually wrote the foreword to my book. And, oh, gosh, she's just a wonderful writer. And she did an interesting study where half of all women who make, like, way, way more than six figures, way over 100,000, they actually work less than 40 hours a week. So it's an interesting misperception that the only way to make a lot of money is to work yourself to death. But I think that if we don't examine it, it can be this, like I said, unconscious knee-jerk reaction where we just assume we want to make more money, but unconsciously we fear it. And then we just run around in a circle. We start to make more money, and then we self-sabotage and we stop. We don't actually finish making the phone calls, for example.
Oh, I love it. It's that not going through with what you set out to do. And I love your scenarios and all of the details that you go into, because it opens up more for us to know, this is why we're here and this is why we're, talking today, because we want everybody to know it's not one thing or the other. It could be a combination of things.
Absolutely, right. Well, and when you go into the law of attraction, because I know you wanted my take on that in particular.
Oh yeah.
So here's where I got almost frustrated, because I love metaphysics and money. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm such a metaphysician. It's great to me. It's just like candy. It's so fun, And the law of attraction is very powerful. And what I encountered very early in my private practice, I'm a money coach, and so I would have these amazing clients come in and say, hey, I'm trying to use the law of attraction. It's not working. Hey, I read The Secret, or I watched The Secret, or I've been practicing, really powerful visualization. I have my vision board, all the different wonderful tools that are out there to manifest vision and attract what you want. And then the question becomes, and why is it not working? Or why did it work for a while, and then why did it stop working? Because I see a lot of what I call manifestors, but then they're not consistent manifestors. It's like this boom bust, boom bust, boom bust. And one of the things that when you kind of get into the law of attraction is you've got to be pretty specific on what you are attracting, what you want to attract. And so Anna, if we get totally down to brass tacks, like let's just use an example here, what you find is people are sitting there visualizing and affirming in all the different ways. I am visualizing and seeing making more money. I'm visualizing abundance. We hear the word abundance a lot. I'm visualizing da-da-da-da-da. What you often don't hear, Anna, is you don't hear a number, right? You don't hear, I am visualizing $230,000 this calendar year.
Oh, yes.
Right? I am visualizing this month $6,000 in gross revenue. I am visualizing getting to the point of having 10 billable hours a week. And so the dilemma is the law of attraction only works if you put in a very specific request. There's different components to it, but one of them is it's got to be pretty specific. And so the analogy that I'll give people is, this is going to sound goofy, but you would never call up a clothing catalog company and say, hi, I'd like to order a shirt, please.
Correct.
It's not going to, it's like, how
That's
about,
so easy.
Right, could you, how about a red shirt that's medium, any particular style, And so that's the way it is with this type of metaphysics, is that how do we ground it? And so I wrote this piece I posted on my blog recently called Grounded Magic, Rethinking the Law of Attraction. And what it was really about was, kind of like step one, what do I truly, truly need? And is that even step one? Let's go back another step. What am I spending? What's my lifestyle look like? What's the type of life I want to put together? And that's where a lot of people go fuzzy, Anna. They're not clear how much money they're spending, and then they're not clear how much money they need to earn, and then they don't know how much they're quit asking the universe for. They just know that they're stressed financially and more money they feel would be helpful. And so, when you really start grounding and looking at what do I spend, what's the life that I want to create, how much would that cost, and then let's start breaking it down, that's where a lot of the visualization and law of attraction can actually become very powerful.
Well, what does it mean when you talk about creating a money practice? Does this fall into that?
Yeah, it does. What I mean by a money practice, it's almost like a spiritual discipline. Let me just use me as the example. Every month, as part of my personal money practice, I sit down and I create a spending plan for the month. Every month. And this has changed my life more than any single thing that I have done. I say, this month, where do I want my money to go, and where is my money coming from? And, some of it is the same every month. It's not like my mortgage changes all the time. But it's a plan. Then, once a week, I track where I've spent my money, where my money has come from, because it's not just spending, it's spending and earning. And then I look at my plan for the month, and I go, okay, my plan was to do this, but guess what? That's not, guess what? Something happened. And then I adjust my plan because I have this constant, lovely source of feedback. And what I have found as a money coach is that a lot of people, they're not looking at their numbers. They're not tracking their spending and income. And if they are, they're tracking what's already happened. There's no forward plan. They're using what I call rear view mirror accounting. They're looking at what's already happened in the past.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. Well, and the problem is it's already gone.
That's
it's
right.
nice that you see what you spent last month, but it's kind of like trying to lose weight and going, yep, I ate that cake. Yep, I sure did.
It all falls into play.
Right.
No matter what you're going through.
Yeah, it's sort of depressing. I already ate the cake.
Oh, yes, exactly. Been there, done that.
I already bought the blue suede shoes. That's not that. And then people beat themselves up when they get into that space of looking at what they did last month or last year. How does that help them? And so a money practice is moving your vision forward. It's creating a plan this month, and then it's a way of being able to really elegantly adjust your plan as new information comes in. And some of that information is from emotional spending and looking at what's really going on. I'm stressed, so I'm overspending on clothes or eating out, and what is that about? And let's really examine that from a personal growth point of view. And some of it is, the car broke down, and I have to deal with a cash flow issue. And that's okay. That we can handle and do anything so that you're not stressed. So a personal money practice is simply a way of tracking your income and outgo within your plan and being able to adjust it so that you can reach your goals. And Anna, I know it may sound odd to some listeners, but to me, it is like a spiritual discipline. It's something we do to move us forward in our lives.
I love it. I'm just in awe because, I've experienced it personally, and I know sometimes it does sound a little odd for others that have never heard of it, but sometimes, you know what? You need to just try it and see what happens.
Yeah, you do. And I just have to say this on a side note, probably because I'm working on another. I'm writing an article called Technology and Consciousness, and there's a lot of interesting questions that are coming up for people nowadays because there's so much that feels like, can't we just use technology to track our money for us? Can't we use technology to, hey, it's all in online banking. What do I need to do anything, And the question for us is, what is the right balance between using technology in a way that's really, really powerful or going to sleep? If you set everything up, just as a quick example, if you set everything up as on auto pay, if every single thing in your life is on auto pay, you go to sleep and you stop looking at what you're spending and you stop examining that you haven't changed your the program you've got with your cell phone company or your whatever your cable company is. You haven't looked at it in 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And you're not really thinking or touching. Your finger's not on the pulse of your life energy. So where is the balance? How do we use technology to feel great and in control and not go to sleep?
Right. Kind of like, do I weigh every day, or do I get on the scale every day or every week? Or, just if you want to track your weight, you track your money. it's all in the same content. I really like that.
Oh, it totally is. It totally is. Yeah, I mean, we all know that if you actually write down what you eat, it tends to
exactly, kind of like that.
It kind of affects what and yet people are afraid to track their money because they are afraid of this exact thing. They're afraid of what they'll see and how they'll feel. And what I know is if you are tracking, and I vote we do use technology to help us. I'm not anti-technology at all. But if we do track, using technology or not, what you find is initially you're in shock, and then you start to feel calm, and it literally calms the anxiety down.
That is good. That is real good. And do you think that it's best to do, what's the benefit of a daily or a weekly practice?
That's a good question. Part of it depends on personality. Like I have some money coaching clients who I bet people think this sounds really weird, but they actually like tracking their spending every day because it's a way to touch their life energy. It takes them a whopping 4 minutes. They never think or stress about money because they always know exactly where they are. Other people, what works better for them is to sit down once a week, download their transactions, touch them, love them, make sure they're categorized the way they want, look at their plan for their month, adjust it, and that's great. That works really, really well for people. So it depends on partly just the volume of transactions and how complicated people's finances are. I personally have found, I've been working with people on money for almost 20 years, that you don't want to touch your money less than once a week. Once you get to the point of looking at it once a month, it feels like homework, and you feel like, oh, what's the point? It's already spent. It's already gone. Right. And then you're back to that rearview mirror counting. And, the point of the law of attraction is how to use your vision to visualize what you want, and your vision is in front of you, not behind you.
That is so good. I have to write that down.
Yeah, that did sound pretty good. I got to remember. Ooh, let me write that out. Let's put it on Facebook right now. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a great saying. That's really good. I was thinking about, money space and what it could look like. Is this just, how can we practically open up time for this daily?
Boy, that's another good question, yeah. It's different. It's a wonderful conversation to have with people, and it's one of the things I always talk about with my clients. What does this look like for you? How do you open up the space? And I got to say, Anna, oh my goodness, people work 40 hours a week on average in the pursuit of money, and yet they will say to themselves that they don't have half an hour a week to look at it or manage it. So it's almost like we're hamsters on the treadmill. So if we're going to put this much energy into pursuing or acquiring money, we want to build in some time to manage our energy and make sure that it's going the way that we want it to go. So, it is different for everyone. I know for me, as an example, I build in, as part of my planning time, Monday mornings. I look at what happened the week before. I make any adjustments to the coming week, around my spending plan for the month. Then I'm good to go. Other people like to look at everything Fridays because they just feel more in control going into the weekend because that's when people do a lot of their spending. Some people do have it as part. I've got a lot of clients that do it as part of their morning ritual, cup of coffee and light a candle. Again, people put up time as an issue, but once you get in and learn for you how a practice is going to work really well and be useful to you, that the answers come. And sometimes we just experiment. People will look at it once a day or once a week and just kind of play with where are they getting the most benefit and the most power in terms of their practice. It's especially powerful for couples when they have a money date.
That's neat. I like that money date. That's really neat.
Yeah, it's very powerful because that's really about the shared vision.
Yeah, and I've found a lot of couples don't do that. It's separate. Either the husband does it or the wife or, vice versa.
Right. Well, and that's a whole other kettle of fish. I bet you'll talk about with future guests, but, so many couples are, it's estimated that 50% of all couples are made up of opposite money styles. And, the spender marries the saver, for example. And neither style's wrong. Neither are bad. Both can use the law of attraction. Both can use vision. It's how do you work on it together and use your individual strengths.
Right. And what are we going to get today from you as your free gift?
Ooh la la! So you're going to send out. I'll describe it to the listeners, but I'm assuming you'll send them the link.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So what I did is I put together an ebook that's about 20 pages, and it is 7 surefire steps to relieve financial anxiety and take control of your money.
Yay!
And and I'm so proud of it. Like I said, it's 20 pages, and it's set, so it's not huge. You can read it on your, probably read it on your phone for that matter. And it's all about what are the steps to feeling great about your money. It's everything from how do we let go of our past money mistakes, how do we get in touch with what we need and want, what are the benefits of some of this tracking that you and I are talking about, and it culminates in how to create your personal money ritual, which is what you and I were just talking about. So I would love your listeners to have that ebook. I'm really proud of it.
Oh, it sounds so good. I'm going to go read it myself. And, I think 20 pages is good for someone to, really read it again, because sometimes you miss stuff. And, it doesn't have to be long to be powerful. You know that.
Right. Well, I've just learned if I write the 100-page version, people get overwhelmed. They think it's too long, which I don't blame them. So it seemed to be kind of a sweet spot for people. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being a part of my summit and going through all the stuff that is just so interesting to me, and I always learn something new from you.
I'm so glad to be a part of it. Yeah, I just think you're doing such a great thing here, and there are going to be so many wonderful people sharing different fabulous ideas on how to manifest. And it's really about, I want people to earn what they truly deserve and truly need in their life to just enjoy their life, and you're a part of helping make it happen.
Thank you. And, it's so powerful, and that's why we're here, because we want to get people to dig deep within themselves and find out if it's an inner thing, an outer thing, or, what we need to do to get to the next level. And I will have your link and everything available, because everybody can follow you on Twitter and Facebook. And
Anna, can I tell the listeners what my website is?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Go ahead.
It's SeattleMoneyCoach.com. SeattleMoneyCoach.com. Just in case people want to contact me with a question or something. I have wonderful clients all over the world, but in case they need, like the article that we were talking about, Grounded Magic, is all on SeattleMoneyCoach.com.
Sounds like a plan, and thank you again for joining us, and we're just going to rock it out.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.